New life stirs in the belly of Mother Earth as another winter draws to a close. Sheep and other animals are pregnant at this time. Snowdrops are beginning to push through the soil, and the first lambs are appearing in the fields. Merry Imbolc, everybody.
Yay!
Yay!
Sorry?
It's Thursday. The official
take your
day
word
for
for that.
Imbolc is Thursday.
Right,
Not
thanks
on
for that.
Thursday. Not on Thursday.
Yes, I'm very thirsty. Pour me a beer.
I'll have a half.
I'm on the beautiful organic white pine needle tea. I know it looks like a pea sample, I know.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Love Not Fear. I'm Jack Cox, author of Love Not Fear, and Annie's got my book.
This is Jack's lovely book, Love Not Fear. I thoroughly recommend it.
And I'm with my gorgeous co-host, Annie Day, who's written two scrumptious books.
Your guide to feeling fabulous, fast and orgasmic health.
And my good friends, Catherine and Barnabas.
Come on, Barnabas, show us your book.
Barnabas, show us your book, Barnabas.
All you need is love.
La la la
Love
la.
is all you need. This is a book of poetry and short essays about the subject of love. Love has different meanings in the English language. We only have the one word. They have many in other languages for it. And I try and cover each of those areas that we call love within the poetry and the essays within the book. So it's available at Amazon. I'm sure there'll be the link, as there will be for the other books, down below.
I always do.
He does always do it, don't you, lovely Jack?
Have you written a book, Catherine? Are you an author at all?
I haven't yet. No, I haven't. But my book is of illustrations. I've got a pad of illustrations.
Oh, how lovely!
Yeah.
Right. Well, Catherine is a co-organizer of The Way. Do you want to say a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can do. The Way is a community vision platform, and it's running. It's like in conjunction with Barnabas. We are building a platform where we can all come together to share our stories, and help each other. Part of that is also now we have come in the process of developing Way Pledge, which is Pledge Pot, where we can all share our resources, get building an economy that actually works without money, where we can just share time, share services, share goods. Basically what you need. The motto is give what you need. Take what you need, give what you can, and pay it forward.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really need to need to start thinking about setting up money-free economies before the government push through the central bank digital currency, which will make money no longer fit for purpose.
Yeah, well, I believe money is an insert that has been placed into the template of life.
Yep.
And that really the true value is us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're here tonight to talk about Imbolc, an ancient festival to mark the changing of the seasons. It's normally celebrated on or around the 1st or the 2nd of February. The date is probably less important than the actual signs to nature. The first snowdrops is usually a good sign. Imbolc has been celebrated since Celtic times, especially in Ireland. The etymology of the name can be interpreted in two different ways, either as in the belly the first stirrings of life in the belly of Mother Earth, or ewe's milk. Both highly significant meanings at this time of year. Imbolc is one of the 4 traditional Gaelic festivals which mark the onset of spring. It falls midway between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. Can't wait for the spring equinox. In Christian tradition, it's known as Candlemas. And in the Chinese calendar, they have their spring festival around about this time of year. Americans have Groundhog Day.
They do.
Nothing whatsoever to do with that stupid movie.
No.
When people watch out for a small rodent known as a groundhog coming out of hibernation. The belief is that if it makes an appearance, then it's going to be a long, hard winter. But if it stays wrapped up in it, warm in its burrow, the spring will soon be coming.
Yeah.
Now, that may seem counterintuitive, but it's based on an old Irish tradition. Well, groundhogs, the tradition, it comes from Irish mythology,
Yeah.
where it said that poor weather forecasts the near end of winter, whereas fine weather means that the crone goddess of winter is digging in and gathering firewood for a long winter. Candlemas is the birthday of St. Brigid, and Imbolc is a celebration of the goddess Brigid, also known as Bride or Bridie, daughter of the Dagda, the high god in Irish tradition. Are they one of the same? Early Irish Christians almost certainly embellished the story with many traditions. Sorry, something just came up on my screen.
It's saying your
Where was I?
bandwidth isn't wide enough, darling. It said Jack Cox's bandwidth isn't
I'm trying to get some internet here, and it was supposed to have been on Friday, but they still haven't done it. So
Oh,
I'm
well,
on
you're doing your
mobile.
best. You can't do more than
I'm on mobile internet at the moment. While there certainly was an historical character known as St. Brigid of Kildare, early Irish Christians most certainly embellished her story with many traditional attributes of the goddess. Celebrations of both the pagan and the Christian representation of the divine feminine often invoke fire. Imagine, if you will, it's the year 432. All the flames in Ireland have gone out, gone dark. Hill of Tara is lit only by the stars above in the near night sky. They were gathered for a sacred ritual in which the Druid priests and priestesses would light the fire. All the Druids stationed at the other beacon fires around the land would watch for this fire before lighting their own, demonstrating Ireland's dependence on its king and the king's dependence on the gods. So it came as a wee bit of a shock when miles to the northeast, on top of the hill of Slane, a different fire was lit before the High Kings. Who was this brash upstart? He was no other than St. Patrick, who was attempting to rival the authority of the king and the Druids. The constellation of Cygnus, also known as the Northern Cross, was bright in the sky that night. It would pass over the site that was soon to become known as Kildare, which was to become sacred to St. Brigid.
Yeah.
The Christian church in Ireland was gaining power. The Christians of Kildare maintain an ever-burning fire. One can travel to Kildare.
Indeed.
There one will find the There one will find the eternal flame. There one will find the eternal flame. Protected now by the Christian nun. So what you say? Did you say you'd been there?
Yes, I've been there. Yes, I did say.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So they're showing devotion to a woman known as St. Brigid. The sisters' devotion to this Brigid bears a striking resemblance to the past worship of the goddess, that is her namesake. Roadside shrines, which were common long before the arrival of Christianity, are present throughout the countryside.
Yeah.
The eternal flame of St. Brigid carries many of the same spiritual connotations as the goddess's flame. As to the life of this woman called Brigid, who was she anyway? Stories tell of her birth in the year 451, either to a pair of noble Christian parents who were converted to the new religion by St. Patrick, or to a pagan chieftain and his Christian slave. It all depends who's telling the story. In either telling, as a young girl, Brigid dedicates herself to a life of religious devotion to the service to Ireland's poor. When medieval Irish monks first put her stories to paper, they attributed many miracles to her, almost all of which deal with nature and the life of the peasantry. These and many other miracles paint an incredibly reverent picture of the young woman who would go on to found the monastery at Kildare, which is still active today, and Annie's been there. Indeed, she's perhaps second only to St. Patrick himself in terms of importance to the community of Irish Christians. However, to the Irish masses, St. Brigid's form of spirituality was even more appealing than that of St. Patrick. Where St. Patrick's most remembered tales are of his debates with the Druids and his use of the shamrock to explain the Christian Trinity, and his conversion of many pagans. Brigid's miracles operate in the realm far more accessible to the ordinary people. St. Brigid shares this natural mysticism with the goddess, who is her namesake. One story tells us of Brigid sleeping through one of Patrick's sermons. She claimed that she wasn't sleeping. I wasn't sleeping. I was deep in prayer, experiencing a personal connection with God. It was later claimed when Brigid slept through Patrick's sermon, she was getting her preaching directly from God rather than through the teachings of a priest. So she's very pagan in that sense, isn't she?
Absolutely, yeah.
While St. Patrick can be seen to represent the high academic, intellectual view of religion, Brigid appealed more to the poorer classes. So over time, the ever persistent renewing flame of the goddess became the eternal flame of the saint. The symbols of the goddess were co-opted by Ireland's blossoming Christian community. The queen is dead, long live the queen. While many argue that St. Brigid is only a Christian version of the ancient goddess, others point to her biographies and the existence of the monastery in Kildare. To my mind, there's little doubt that the real St. Brigid did exist, but her stories have been exaggerated and mingled with an earlier pagan tradition.
Yeah.
What is unclear is that the Irish people of St. Brigid allowed the ancient traditions associated with the goddess to carry on and operate freely without Christian persecution. The goddess has three main forms or attributes: the smith, the poet, and the healer. She is the guardian of domestic animals, as well as arts and crafts. Today, Christians make devotions to the woman known as St. Brigid of Kildare, symbols that have been used since ancient times to worship the goddess Brigid, breed of Bridie. The name of Brigid has been found in Ireland from the earliest history. She is believed to be from the tribe known as the Tuatha De Danann, or the children of the goddess Dana, a mythical fairy race that was thought to once inhabit Ireland. We've talked about them before, haven't we?
We have
Booking
indeed.
invasions and all
Right. Yeah, it's my viewpoint that the fairies are still alive in Ireland.
that. Absolutely, absolutely.
They're you know, it's very obvious if you go to any part of Ireland, really, but particularly the south of Ireland, that the stories are replete about fairies and elementals, aren't they? Because they're part of their everyday life, aren't they? So, yeah.
Ireland is such a magical place where people are still in touch with the traditions and with nature.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You go to Ireland and you can feel the energies. They're totally different from the energies here.
Yeah.
Brigid is personified by the embodiment of dawn, coming with the light of each new morning. The goddess Brigid has been important to the Irish people for such a very, very, very long time.
Yeah.
There are three aspects: poetry, medicine, and metalwork. Can seem quite different at first, but the link becomes apparent when one looks at Brigid overall as a goddess of renewing flame of dawn. In that sense, the creative spark of poetry, the healing warmth of medicine, and the fire of the blacksmith's forge are all attributed to her. As dawn marks the birth of a new day, out of the night, the creative healing crafts show the Irish reverence for Brigid as a devotion to the symbolic flame which makes things new. The poet who brings form to words, the healer who restores life to those in need, and the smith who refines metal into useful things, all encounter the renewing aspect of this symbolic flame. It comes as no surprise that Brigid is associated with birth and rebirth and optimism. These traits are foundational to the festival of Imbolc. Many traditions are associated with Imbolc, including lighting fires and dancing with flames, the celebration of fertility, and the birth of new life. Although the worship of the goddess dwindled with the coming of the new upstart religion, it never died out, and Imbolc is still celebrated to this very day. What do you think of that, everybody?
I thought that was brilliant, Jack.
Right. You got any thoughts on that, Barnabas?
I was just saying when you were setting up earlier that I thought I'd heard it all now because I've been here 18, 20 months, is it now? And I thought I'd heard it all, but this was a new one on me. And it's fascinating to find out where things come from. And I've certainly heard of Brigid, but not in the Methodist Church growing up. We weren't into the saints. It's more of a Catholic thing. They have a saint for every day in the Catholic Church, but we'd probably hear of St. Stephen, the first Christian martyr, on Boxing Day when they celebrate, and then they just St. Andrew and of course, and St. Patrick and St. George and the other one, St. David. Those were the only saints the Methodists ever talked about. So yeah, I have heard of Bridget, and there's such a rich panacea of information that you brought to us as usual. Thank you very much, Jack, to keep us
Very welcome.
into the place we are in the calendar between the winter solstice and the spring equinox.
Indeed.
So, Annie, what have you got for us?
So, celebrate Imbolc. Some people focus on celebrating Brigid. I've cut out the bits that are a repetition of what you've said, Jack. So they do this by setting up an altar with the symbols of Brigid, like a corn husk doll, white flowers, a bowl of milk and candles. If there is a group gathering, they might cast a circle and recite a prayer to receive a blessing from Brigid. Other people aim their rituals towards the cycles of the season. Some people do house cleaning rituals as part of getting ready for spring. Other families find a pile of snow, gather some musical instruments and chant to drive away the winter. An example of one such chant is, "Old Man Winter, it's time to go. Take with you these piles of snow. Melt, snow, melt, spring will soon return. A flame, a fire, all the warmth it brings. Melt the snow, cold be gone. Welcome back to the spring." So Imbolc is a Celtic festival celebrating the emerging life in the world around us. It's a wonderful opportunity to get crafty with your family and enjoy all the wonders of new life. Here are our tips for a magical Imbolc together. Perhaps one of the most exciting festivals of the Celtic year. Imbolc is the celebration of the awakening natural world and a time of cleansing. On our forays outside, we begin to see new life poking through the soil and buds tightening on trees. Imbolc is a time for bringing new ideas and projects into the burgeoning light, for growing what we have been reflecting on over the winter months. So the Celtic goddess Brigid. So as most of you know who've been watching for some time, I was brought up as a Catholic, so Saint Brigid was very important to my grandma and grandpa, and so it became important for me. And my grandma helped me to make my first Brigid cross and my Brigid doll as well. So it's got very fond memories of doing that art and crafty sort of stuff. So the Celtic goddess Brigid, cows' udders begin to engorge with milk at this time of the year. Ready for the first birth of spring, Imbolc is an important date in the agricultural year when farmers would prepare their fields for the first sowings and fishermen would return to the sea. It is a celebration of the Celtic goddess Brigid, and many of the traditions of Imbolc are linked to her magic as the goddess of fire, blacksmiths, wells, healing waters, springs, and poets. She is also linked to motherhood, fertility, and abundance. So one of the books that you might want to read is Celebrating the Great Mother, a Handbook of Earth honouring activities for parents and children by Cait Johnson. Make a Brigid straw doll, or a bridiog as it's called in Celtic, although I'm sure the Irish people are going, what did she just say? One way to bring the magic of Brigid into your homes at Imbolc is to make a bridiog, pronounced bridjog. This was traditionally undertaken by the men in their home, and the little bridjogs were hanging over the doors of people's homes. Bridogs are made with straw or rushes twisted into the shape of a doll, wrapped in white greenery from the garden and other pretty fine things that you may find in nature. So what you might want to read is the Earth Child's Handbook, Crafts and Inspiration for the Spiritual Child by Brigid Ashwood. You may want to make a Brigid cross. Brigid crosses were also made at this time of year and may be familiar if you had a country childhood. This is self-inflicted because I just thought, I haven't coughed for a bit. And my body went, oh, really? Here comes the cough then. So I am back on the lovely organic white pine needle tea. So Brigid crosses were also made at this time of the year and may be familiar if you had a country childhood. There are many different styles, some with 3 or 4 arms. Google or go through a better search engine, which is Swiss Cows or Brave. If you don't want Google, have a look at what you're looking at. So you may want to have a look at Brigid crosses, comes up with various ideas for you and your family. You can hang your Brigid cross wherever you like in your home. Children's were usually hung over their beds. It was believed that a Brigid cross tucked under the mattress helped aid conception, and they were used to bless seeds before planting in the springtime. So you may want to read Nature's Children, Celebrating the Seasons in a Pagan Family by Rachel Mayatt. Feasts and Fire, another Imbolc tradition, as with many Celtic celebrations, is the lighting of fire. Fires celebrated not only the fire goddess Brigid, but also recognised the returning power of the sun. In the Christian calendar, as Jack's already said, Imbolc is known as Candlemas, when candles were lit for the Virgin Mary. Lighting a fire is a good opportunity to gather with friends and family and to reflect, share and laugh together. Imbolc was also a time of feasting and drinking. So you might want to make some food you can cook in the fire or toast some marshmallows. Spring clean your home. We've talked about space clearing in the past and feng shui in your home, but this is the ideal time, literally, where the idea of spring cleaning comes from. So we're getting all ready for better weather. So now is the perfect time for a good spring clean of your home, usually undertaken before Imbolc. Get rid of anything that is cluttering up your home or stagnating the energy. Scrub and clean all the surfaces down thoroughly. If you can bear the cold, open all the windows and let some refreshing clean air flow through your home. Making it into preparations for a celebration is also a great way to tempt your children or grandchildren to tackle their rooms and get rid of toys that they don't want anymore. Maybe that would encourage them. Traditionally, Imbolc was also a time for visiting holy waters, a spring or a well, to both purify and bring fertility to our dreams. Why not set off on an adventure together as a family to find some water near your home, a river, a stream or a well. If the water is clean, splash some over yourself as you set your intention to cleanse and purify. Glennie Kindred, who is one of my favourite authors, she writes lots of books about trees, so she's my kind of girl. She suggests dipping a piece of ribbon in the water and then hanging it from a nearby tree. Trees near water are especially sacred. She thinks that these will carry messages of hope and healing to the ether. She also reminds us to thank the spirits of the place you visit and to pick up any rubbish you see nearby as an act of gratitude. So you may want to read her book, Sacred Celebrations, a source book by Glennie Kindred. So Imbolc is a traditional earth-based Gaelic Celtic festival of fire and light that celebrates the rising sun, marks the beginning of spring, and is the first cross-quarter day Shabbat festival after midwinter, the winter solstice. This holiday, known as Imbolc or sometimes Imbolc, is a time to celebrate the return of the light and the rising sun as we slowly leave behind the long, cold nights of winter and bear witness to the very first exciting signs that spring is on its way. Also known as St. Brigid's Day, Candlemas, the Feast of Torches, Lupercalia, the Feast of Pan, the Feast of Waxing Lights, and the Snowdrop Festival, as well as the Feast of the Waxing Light. Imbolc occurs at the midpoint, halfway between the winter solstice Yule and the spring equinox Ostara, within the wheel of the year, as it also shares the same date. Imbolc is one of the 8 Shabbat festivals within the wheel of the year. It is the cross-quarter day fire festival that occurs halfway between the winter solstice and the vernal spring equinox, and is considered to be the first day of spring in the Celtic tradition. In the Northern Hemisphere, Imbolc starts at sundown on Thursday, February the 1st, and concludes on the evening of Friday, February the 2nd in 2024. In the Southern Hemisphere, Imbolc typically begins on the eve of August the 1st at sundown and concludes on August the 2nd at sunset. Historically, Imbolc or Imbolc is a traditional earth-based end of winter Shabbat festival. In the old Irish Neolithic language, the word Imbolc translates to in the belly or in the belly of the mother, while metaphorically it refers to the pregnancy of ewes and cows and the blessing of milk that comes with the birth of their young. Imbolc also gets its name from the Irish Gaelic omelech, which translates to ewe's milk. What does Imbolc mean spiritually? In ancient times and still today, Imbolc is a time of rebirth and fertility. As the divine spark born at midwinter continues to grow and bring more and more light, nature begins to awaken all around us. After this, the sun rises above the earth and burns longer and brighter with each passing day. There are many blessings, both spiritually and physically, that come with these rhythmic, cyclical changes, so often taken for granted in today's society. Hibernating animals awaken from their long winter sleep and life begins to sprout from the ground once again. In ancient times and still today, Imbolc is a time of rebirth and fertility. There are many blessings, both spiritually and physically, at this time that come with this rhythmic, cyclical changes so often taken for granted in today's society. Hibernating animals are awakening from their long winter sleep and life begins to sprout from the ground once more. Snowdrops and crocuses are bursting through this frozen earth, and new life grows within the wombs of livestock and wild creatures everywhere. It's time to become a witness to the transformation occurring all around you as well as within you. The world is changing from a cold, dark place to one of warmth, light, life, and sprouting new growth. It's time to take a moment to pause, remembering that we are a reflection of our world. and consider what these changes mean within the mirror or what they say about us. In other words, what does the reflection of new life sprouting forth, or the lack of it, say about you? How are you being in or relating to your world? And what can you do, if anything, to assist, change, support, or bring light to what is or isn't happening, to help bring new life and new growth into your life? So one of the things I'm going to suggest, and I've done mine a bit early last Friday with the lovely Gareth that's been on the show a few times, and we made our new vision boards and manifestation wheels. So I think it's a really good time, even better than the new year. This seems to be a much better time to be doing it. So yes, I've made my vision board with all the things I want. So we have done some a couple of shows on making vision boards and manifestation wheels in the past. What I'd suggest is that you make sure that however you're going to do this, you make sure that you have something that represents loving relationships and loving your life. And then if it is on a rectangular piece of paper, you want something that represents prosperity, abundance, and lovely, lovely money. And the third category, I would suggest, it's really important to have something that represents healthy conditions, because without our health, it doesn't matter what else is happening. So it's a really good way of you setting your intention to eat better, to do more exercise, to spend more time in nature, breathing in luscious air. And then the other things you can put on your vision board or manifestation wheel are things that you've been dreaming about. So one of the things I've put on mine is that I want to go on holiday to Thailand or Turkey or Greek islands or Greece or Spain. And I've put lots of pictures of sunny beaches and things like that, just to remind me that that's what I'm having from the universe, basically. But I've also put things on like having enough time to play and to do art and craft things, because I know whenever I do play, it gives me such joy, and is an open invitation to Annie. Woo! Thank you, Catherine. So yeah, I've put lots of things like that on, but I've put also lots of pictures of children playing, because I think that we need to get back in touch with that little inner boy or girl, and we need to be playing more and creating things, and this is a great time of year for us to be doing that. So I'd thoroughly encourage you to not only space clear and feng shui your home and workspace, but also this is a great time to make your vision board and manifestation wheel as well. And that's all I've got.
Thank you very much for that, Annie. That was very enlightening.
Good. I'm glad to hear that, darling.
Enlightening and entertaining.
I'm always entertaining, aren't I, Jack? In one way or another.
If you've all enjoyed the show tonight, we'll be back again next week.
We will.
Please do like, share, and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube or Rumble. It helps us get out to more people.
It does indeed. And thank you to Barnabas for all his interactions, and the lovely Catherine, and of course my wonderful co-host Jack Cox for doing all the funky magic in the background and getting all the editing and getting it up and at it on YouTube. So I am massively grateful, Jack. Thank you. And hopefully your internet will be fixed by next week, won't it?
Well, hopefully we'll have
Namaste.
the proper. Hopefully, I have the proper internet next week, and it'll be a bit smoother.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for bearing with us.
Yeah. Namaste.
Namaste.